Hey everybody, no Star Wars today, don't worry. I will get to it, but it'll have to be till tomorrow. So, for right now, let's talk about another Disney property, Marvel, specifically The Punisher. The Netflix series, not the 2004 movie, which, it's okay. It's not good, it's not bad, but if you're just in the mood to watch some people get blown away with guns and grenades, you'll get your money's worth out of it. But as for this series, well, it's kind of good, it's kind of bad. If you want to sit back and watch some people get blown away with guns and grenades, you'll get your money's worth out of it. Yeah, they're kind of the same problem. The main good thing is, well, Frank Castle, the Punisher. And I'll give this one credit over the previous one. This guy actually knows what he's doing and fully has come to terms with the fact that, yeah, a kind of a homicidal killer who's got no problem shooting people as long as they shoot first or are intending to harm anyone I care about. Or any decent human being in general. So, you take that with what you can. And thankfully this show does not go too far. I mean, they touch it a little bit because you have to. But not too far into the, is killing the bad people wrong? If they've killed someone before, should we really let the justice system get to them? But if you let justice get to them, they could escape justice, which is not technically justice, but are you killing them a form of justice? Is that justice within justice? And then you get Light and L screaming justice. It's just justice all over the place, and you can't tell. But they get through it pretty quickly, and they, well, move on with it. And most of that's thanks to Frank Castle's partner, David, or Micro, depending on which version you like to call him. Or you can call him that dude who looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo if he became a tech developer and was stuck in a cabin for 3 months. No shave, no hair, just frizzy. But he does a good job too. He plays the yin to Castle's yang. While Frank Castle or the Punisher, and yes, I will be switching them off because sometimes he's Frank, sometimes he's the Punisher. Though they are the same person, he wears a different persona. When he's Frank, he's the human person, and when he's the Punisher, he's the, well, get me a gun and a clip and I can take out an entire military base. Okay, he actually took their guns afterwards to use, but you know, he still walked in with just a few weapons. But his partner, David or Micro, is the more calm to earth, try to rationally talk to him about this and approach it from the analytical perspective. Instead of trying to kill someone with a gun, why don't we get information out of them via like hacking or espionage? So there's a nice blend of this style. Sometimes you basically get an episode where it's a shootout. Sometimes you get an episode where they try to meticulously plan an assault and Frank uses his military skills to get in without having to kill anyone. It's actually pretty good. And I will give Frank the credit that he is not quick to kill in this series to people who don't warrant it. Simply people who work for a paramilitary group just doing their job, who aren't there to specifically kill him. I want to stress that before someone brings up near the end. He actually either shoots to wound or tries to stop it. In fact, there's a really good scene in a tunnel that kind of shows his true character, that he's, a soldier, and soldiers basically, they're there to stop the bad guys, usually via killing, and he's willing to do that as much as possible. Though I'm not going to get into the whole military debate here, because I don't even want to touch that. I am not in the military. I got family and friends in the military, but that's about it. And I have nothing but the utmost respect to those gentlemen, which you get the feeling they're trying to represent a lot in this series. They're trying to humanize the soldiers and detach them from the government. Something that was very apparent within Vietnam. When the soldiers came back, everyone was basically giving them the middle finger, saying, "Grr, military, grr." But it's all good now. Well, I would like to say that, but in this day and age, that's not the truth. But here they actually do that kind of well. They separate the soldiers from the chain of command and give them more humanistic personalities. Now, granted, that means they're human, so they can both be good or bad. They can bring out the best of people and the worst. And watching Frank bounce off them is actually pretty good. Even when David gets involved and meets some of his friends, there's a bit of duality between them, and the one who tries to, keep Frank alive and try to keep the soldier's spirit within him, while David tries to keep him alive, literally by giving him IVs and shooting him up with all these types of drugs, and trying to keep his mind alive to keep him human. It's kind of like the good angel, bad angel, if they were both had valid points and, valid contradictions. But Frank never really changes because of that. He listens to them, of course, and occasionally cracks wise, but he never really changes throughout the series, which kind of fits the character. The whole point of Punisher is, I am going to kill the bad guys before they have a chance to kill anyone else. It's the active action versus the reactionary action. And there's a lot of debate within the superhero kind of community. Well, sure, they go after the bad guys and they know who they are, but they haven't committed the crime, but they're probably going to commit it, but we have no proof. It's been called into question a lot. Sometimes good, sometimes really bad. Watch Atop the Fourth Wall cry for justice if you want to see the bad. But, in this case, it's actually done pretty well. So why would I say this was kind of good and kind of bad? Well, when you take away David, Frank Castle, you got nothing. Oh, I'll take away the action too, because the action's actually really good. But the villain is the U.S. government. Or a fraction of the U.S. government, and yeah, they play politics in this game. Almost Game of Thrones level in this stuff with the whole back and forth, that if you don't understand the basic rudimentary of politics, you might be a little bit lost in some hierarchy thing. And the side characters besides them, not really that good, or not really that memorable. Not as a kid who clearly is having PTSD and withdrawal issues from being on the military, and I have no idea if that's a faithful adaptation or a horrible adaptation of it, so I don't want to touch that character at all. It could either be amazing or it can be horrible. I am not going to say my opinion on either way. But the rest of them I will say. They ain't good. Sorry, they're just not. I mean, they serve their purpose. You hate the ones you're supposed to hate. You sympathize with the ones you're supposed to sympathize. But they bring nothing new to the table. Nothing that we haven't seen before all this time ago. And when Frank's not around for them to bounce off of, the chemistry is kind of flat. Which, if you can get over that, good for you. I just wasn't able to do that. And by the end, it becomes kind of apparent when certain people start getting picked off, how it all ends out. And you can basically tell who's going to live, who's going to die. There's no real shift. There's no shocking moment. There's not the moment that makes you want to push over the edge and say, dang it, I hate this, but it was the right choice to make. Because in a real war scenario, there's no winners or losers. There's just casualties on both sides. Yeah, one side might, quote, win, but every side had to pay for something. Zero Dark 30 actually did a really good, not Zero Dark 30, 13 Hours, the Benghazi incident. That did it actually really well. Yes, they won, but they had to do a lot of things. Had to kill a lot of people. Had to watch the ones they care about get killed too. It's tough. It's kind of why I've always had a soft spot for war movies that actually touched upon the brother instinct. Because when you are over there, yeah, you're fighting for your country, but you're also fighting for the guy next to you. You could be completely different from each other, but you're still brothers. And there's a camaraderie in that really just, you don't know unless you've been in it, I would imagine. And that's one thing I feel that they try to do in this show, but they just really can't get all the way across. So that's what takes the awesome action, buddy cop talking bit, I want to say comedy, but buddy talking bits of David and Frank, and just suck it all away. It's still worth watching. I want to stress that. Just like, 10,000 zeros at the end is better than Jessica Jones, and still better than Daredevil and Daredevil Season 2, where most people would agree that The Punisher was the best part of Daredevil Season 2. So, there's that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a good show. You should definitely give it a watch. If you're not hooked by episode, I want to say 4, then you don't have to watch the rest. You can basically tell how it's going to go and whether or not you're going to like it. So, that was The Punisher, the Netflix series. Will I review the Punisher film one day? Yeah, maybe. Someone below requests it and I get enough buzz for it, sure. Or even when they announce the second season, I might do it. But coming next time, we go to a galaxy far, far away with possibly the deciding factor if this is going to be a good Star Wars trilogy, a bad Star Wars trilogy, or a mediocre Star Wars trilogy. Only time will tell. Well, time and box office numbers. Anyway, until next time, I'm Kevin Riley, signing off, and I'll see you all next time. Later.